world has come for the cinematic universe we live in.
Leave your belongings and make sure you're ready to enter in this new world.
This is Cinephiles, a podcast created by two self-proclaimed cinephiles who love talking anything about films.
Catch us every Wednesdays and Saturdays at 6 p.m. on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Google Podcast. So join us as we enter to the new world of Cinephiles.
If you like this episode, please rate the podcast 5 stars, 6 and take it home. This podcast is a member of Bun Collective.
Welcome to your unfiltered Tagalog Wrestling Podcast. And this is the MTG Show Podcast, a wrestling podcast. It's Friday! You know what that means. Welcome to your unfiltered Tagalog Wrestling Podcast. And this is the MTA Show Podcast, a wrestling podcast. Ayun, wait lang. I have to drop this shit. Ayun, isang magandang umaga, tanghali, gabi sa inyong lahat na nakikinig dito sa podcast. Syempre, kung wala kayo, wala rin ako eh. And for tonight's episode of the podcast, for today's episode, whatever, kasi gabi ko naman itatrap. So, dinadala ko ng sipag paggabi eh, no? Pero, bueno, ngayong gabi sa ating podcast, since gabi ko naman siya i-upload, ang ating pag-uusapan tonight is focused on SummerSlam 2022. Maraming nangyari sa SummerSlam, hindi na natin isa-isahin. Pero bibigyan natin ng matinong podcast review itong SummerSlam. And, syempre, we're going to do some Bash Awards announcements. We're going to do the Ric Flair review. Yung typical nating review for the fallout ng SummerSlam. And the first Triple H Premium Live Event ever. Wow. So, Triple H Premium Live Event. Tama yung pagkarinig nyo. That's Triple H's first Premium Live Event. But before that, let's start with our major announcement. Ito, syempre, malapit na po ang ating Bash Awards. And sa darating pong December, syempre, yung Bash Awards natin is malaki yun, alam niyo naman. Kasi yun ang ating year-ender dito sa pod. Kung nakikinig kayo dito, meron tayong tradisyon na de-determine natin. Siyempre, may fan vote. Yung sino man yung picks nila for the year. And 2022 is no different. But this year, medyo lalagyan natin ng catch. Ewan ko kung, kinukulo ko pa yung plans. But ang 2022 Bash Awards ay magiging the Bank Bash Awards. Yun, kino-consider ko pa siya. Meron pa akong malaki-laking consideration about the plans about the upcoming Bank Bash Awards. So, basta planado na yun. Hindi ko pa siya pwedeng ilabas dito. Pero inaano ko na, parang hinahanda ko na. And, pina-finalize ko na lang yung magiging details para sa ating Bank Bash Awards. So, basta marami tayong pwedeng ilabas na details pagdating ng November o kaya ng December, malalaman nyo lahat ng details na yan. But for now, ang ating details na ilalabas is, eto na nga. Alam niyo naman maraming matches yung nalalabas sa Bash Awards noong nakaraang taon. Ang dami nun, di ba? Pero ngayon, 2022, medyo binago ko yung rules and yung laglagan na tinatawag ko. Magkakaroon tayo ng laglagan, knockout tournament, na mag-uumpisa next week sa podcast. So, lahat ng episodes ng August, the remaining episodes of August, doon tayo magpo-focus sa laglagan. Ano? So, bale, magkakaroon tayo laglagan episode 1, laglagan 2, laglagan 3, laglagan 4. So, ganito. Kung ilan matches yung from January, Feb hanggang hanggang July, ide-determine natin yung final 2. So, 2 matches per month na lang ang masasama natin doon sa finals sa December, sa ating votings for December, and then doon natin isasalang lahat yon sa Bank Bash Awards votings itself. So, yun nga, knockout tournament. So, 4 matches per month, pero 2 lang yung matitira. It means 2 per month ang ating isasama sa Bank Bash Awards. Mas konti na yon. Then, lahat ng matches na yon ay determine natin and i-reveal natin next week sa ating episode ng podcast. And yung tournament magraran yan hanggang August. Yung huling episode natin for August, doon natin i-close yung votings for the Bank Bash Awards Balaglagan Tournament. So, basta yun, marami pa tayong ilalabas sa details. Yung official voting ito, syempre, sa final na sa November yon after ng Survivor Series. Then, yung ating Bank Bash Awards episode will be released 3rd week of December. Hanggang doon lang muna ang ilalabas kong detalye. So, bale, ganito. Magkasama na ang NXT at main roster, Impact, AEW, and New Japan sa Di ko na sineparate ang NXT. And sa halip, magkakaroon tayo ng TV match of the year. So, malalaman yon sa tamang panahon. Pagka tama na yung panahon. But first, let's talk about SummerSlam. So, marami tayong pag-uusapan sa SummerSlam. Let's talk about the main event. Undisputed WWE Universal Championship Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns in a last man standing match. In my opinion, in this case, alam nyo, gusto ko i-acknowledge yung TikTok ni Rowan Sunday night after nung SummerSlam where he explained kung ano yung naging ending ng match. Gusto ko i-acknowledge yun na medyo odd yung naging ending, and I'm going to thank Rowan then for the explanation kasi hindi ko na siya kailangan i-explain pa dito sa show. Okay. So, yun nangyari. Medyo false alarm. Ewan ko ba kung anong nangyari doon. Parang hindi pa tapos yung pag-bury kay Brock Lesnar after that match. Parang binibilangan na siya ng referee. So, chinek ko ulit yun, WWE Network, para patunay na hindi tayo nagsisinungaling. Ano? So, the match itself, it's good. Maganda yung laban. In my opinion, this is my second best Brock Roman match ever sa kanilang chronology. Pero, thank God, sana tapos na itong feud na to. Ayun, so dagdag pa natin yung tractor part of the match. I love it, man. Parang ito yung isa sa mga greatest spots in SummerSlam history na sobrang in-acknowledge natin. Sabi ko, what in a living hell is this spot? And everyone loved that spot. Ayun, sobrang over ni Brock Lesnar, sobrang over din ni Roman, but definitely that's the perfect icing on the cake to settle their feud once and for all. And I think nabigyan naman tayo ng magandang ending for that undisputed title. Next month naman sa Clash at the Castle, Roman Reigns will defend the title versus Drew McIntyre. So, yun, isang buwan na naman na build up yan for the pay-per-view. I'm glad na walang pay-per-view for August. Pero, let's see. Basta yung August natin magpo-focus yun sa laglagan tournament na mag-uumpisahan next week. Okay? Let's continue with the SmackDown Women's title. So, we got Liv Morgan versus Ronda Rousey. So, it's kinda short match. Parang ang naging turning point lang to nung heel turn ni Ronda Rousey na tinis na doon sa SmackDown 2 weeks ago. Then, yun na nga, that's it. So, she cemented her heel turn and she attacked Liv Morgan afterwards. She attacked a official. And earlier this week, Ronda Rousey got suspended for putting her hands on a WWE official. So, that's the news for Ronda Rousey, and let's see kung ano pa yung pwede magiging build up pa for their match between Ronda and Liv. Pero for sure, tatagal to. I'm glad na tumagal pa yung reign ni Ronda, ni Liv rather. And I'm glad na hindi tayo aabot sa point na Liv is gonna be the burying bitch for Ronda Rousey. But hindi. I'm glad to see Liv is still running as the champion. Sana naman ay tumagal pa, and Ronda losing, like what I said, is a big pleasure for Ronda and of course Liv. Then, SmackDown Tag Team Titles and Raw Tag Team Titles, the Undisputed Tag Team Titles, the Usos Street Profits versus the Usos versus Street Profits with Jeff Jarrett as the special guest referee. Ito, ewan ko parang ang pointless nung role. Parang ang pointless nung pagpasok ni Jeff Jarrett. Wala, parang ang pointless lang nang dating sa akin ng naging position dyan ni Jeff Jarrett. Medyo, para sabi ko na lang. Sobrang unnecessary, as in, na nanalo. I know, there's a part na sobrang unnecessary ni Jeff Jarrett dito, and there are some parts na sobrang sabihin ko na dapat talaga profits na lang yung nanalo eh. And now, they are teasing something all about street profits. Mamaya pag-uusapan natin sa Fallout yung nangyari. Pero, definitely, that is so fucking good. It's so nice to see these matches like this. And I think makakuha pa tayo ng ganong mga match-ups. And, mas maganda pa. Diba? Mas maganda pa. Pero yun lang muna. Pabitin lang muna yun. But, seriously, I love this match. Then, Pat McAfee versus Happy Corbin. Ito, first thing foremost, I hate the new theme song ni Pat McAfee. I don't like his new theme song, but I don't know, sobrang over niya pa din. Pero maintindihan ko din naman kasi yung Seven Nation Army is malaki ang bayad nun. So syempre, they need to put the Dev Rebo cliche on Pat McAfee to less the payments, of course. Then, the match itself, basically, it's a win. Pero syempre, every low blow win is a sin. So, Pat McAfee is not safe. And may meaning yan sa akin na possible mag-continue po yung feud nila ni Happy Corbin. Kasi chippy pay lang yung panalo niya. So, yeah. May ano pa to, may kasunod pa to. Let's see in the next few days kung ano pa yung pwede mangyari on that spot ni Pat McAfee. And also to add, I love the choir singing Bomb Us Corbin. Ayun, ulitin natin. So, regardless on that, I love Pat McAfee's choir right there. And especially spot doon sa pwesto ng card. Hindi siya yung kaboringan, hindi rin siya yung kasaktuhan lang. So, yeah. So next is a no disqualification match. The Mysterious versus Judgment Day. Ayun, so the match still okay, average. Medyo impressed naman ako kay Rey Mysterio as usual. I love Judgment Day on this match. And the end of this match, we got a comeback on we got an Edge comeback, I swear. And that's a pretty solid comeback for Edge. Oh, sabihin niyo naman si The Fiend Bray Wyatt. Sige, sabihin niyo yan. Bray Wyatt yan. Sige, Bray Wyatt yan. That's Bray Wyatt. Sige, sabihin niyo na si Bray Wyatt yan. Sige, sabihin niyo. Tell us na that's Bray Wyatt. But regardless, that's a pretty good return for Edge. It's fine. Medyo komportable naman ako sa naging spot niya. Kahit napakita na rin siya on the pre-show na he will come back tonight. So, yeah. Then, Lashley versus Theory. Ito, hindi ko na kailangan reviewin to. Ang masasabi ko lang dito, si Theory nagmamadali kasi may objective siya later in the main event. Parang, ano na to nagpatalo na lang siya Yan lang, yun ang masasabi ko. Then, I love the entrance then ni Lashley on this match. Then, ayun, Logan Paul versus The Miz. Ewan ko, pero ito, tong Logan Paul versus The Miz, definitely one of my favorite matches of the night. Kung alisin yung Brock Roman, ito siguro yung second ko, tsaka yung Raw moments. Tapos, ito, sabihin ko na ba sa inyo na is Logan Paul a worthy WWE superstar? Definitely yes. Kasi on that two matches, para sa akin, patunayan niya na yon. Pero he needs to prove pa. Kailangan niya pang mag-grind, kailangan niya pang mag-earn ng respect from the universe. So, mapapatunayan niya rin yun in the right time. Pero now, sasabihin ko na na-earn niya na yon. Na-earn niya na yun the right way, right place, and the right time. So, especially I love the spots ni Logan Paul dito. And he justified na he is not a disappointment in the WWE circle. So, ayun, malaking respeto dun kay Logan Paul. Although, hindi ko pa rin siya mapapatawad sa kanyang shit in the past. But yeah, I love this Logan Paul. At least nagbago. At least we can say na nagbago na si Logan Paul. So, ayun. Ayun, opener of SummerSlam, we got the Bianca Belair versus Becky Lynch match. Ito, masasabi ko, ito yung masasabi ko na one of the best matches of their feud. No? Parang, ito na yung naging, tawag ba dito? Parang ito na yung naging favorite ko among all of the 4 matches na one-on-one nila. Yung SummerSlam, Extreme Rules last year, WrestleMania, then ito. Pero sa akin lang, parang mas nagustuhan ko to kumpara WrestleMania. Pero, gold sa wise, yung historic wise, I'm gonna go with SummerSlam pa din last year. But yeah, it's a pretty good match, pretty solid matchup. Tapos, kompletuhin pa ng mga debuts and comebacks nila Bayley, ng return ni Dakota Kai at ng debut ni Io Sky, former Io Shirai. But regardless, it's a pretty good, solid match. Then dagdag mo pa yung 3 appearances na yon. It's so fucking good. Parang doon pa lang sa opener ng SummerSlam, andun na yung pasabog ni Triple H doon sa kanyang first pay-per-view or premium live event as booker of WWE. Eto, opinions lang about SummerSlam. I'm going to take notes of something. So, start tayo with the Bayley, Io, and Dakota. Ito, sobrang unpredictable ito. According sa Fightful Select, hindi pumayag si Vince McMahon sa ideya of forming this stable between Bayley, Io Sky, and Dakota Kai. Kasi, di ba, hindi daw impressive yung kanyang ideya na yon. So, I'm glad Triple H nadala niya yung ideya na yon sa kanyang role here in WWE ngayon. I'm glad that, na he brought this feud or his story back. Then, it's impressive. Akalain mo yun, Dakota Kai na balik from her release last April. Tapos si Io Sky, nag-aantay na lang yan. Reserve, kumbaga, wala na naman siya kailangang patranahin sa NXT. And she proved herself noong Monday Night Raw in a fantastic match versus Bianca Belair. So good. It's so good for everyone who is watching, especially the women's side of WWE. Then, ano ba? Yung ibang matches naman, medyo it's worth to watch. Logan Paul versus Miz, it's so fantastic. Medyo umabot lang ako sa part na medyo, hey, we will never forget Logan's shit. Ayun, may mga agam-agam ako about that part, but so good, nadala naman siya ni Miz. And I'm glad na nagbukatan silang dalawa. And it's all good for all of us. I hope na makita pa natin si Logan Paul competing in more WWE matches. It's so good. Then, lastly, Theory. Wala naman masyadong wala naman masyadong ano dito eh. Parang ano lang to eh. Formality lang to ng magiging plano ni Theory to cash in on the main event. Tapos no DQ. Maganda sana to kung naging tornado to. Aside sa ewan ko, mas gusto ko naging tornado to kaysa no DQ. Kasi parang may tags pa din kasi yun. So, parang pangit na sa eyes ko. Pero at least we got the Edge comeback. So good. Then, the Pat McAfee versus Corbin. It's not the best Pat McAfee match. Pero, may gaganda pa to. Kung itutuloy nila tong feud na to, so good to me. Mapapaganda pa nila to. Tag titles, sobrang pointless ni Jeff Jarrett. Si Jeff Jarrett parang ano yan eh. Alam niya yung magiging spot niya. Pag hindi niya gusto yung naging spot niya, hindi niya gagawin. Ganun siya. Ganun siya mangupal eh. So that's why Jeff Jarrett, shit. Yun na nga. Slap nuts. Still pointless. Tapos, SmackDown Women's title. Basically, dito nag-cement yung turn ni Ronda Rousey. I love it. Everyone's love it. And totoo naman, mas maganda yung run ni Ronda as a heel. Kasi wala siyang sympathy sa crowd. And sobrang perfect nun. Tapos dagdagan mo pa ng babyface, Liv Morgan. So yun, para sa akin, it's all good. Then, main event, undisputed title. Concern ko lang dito, sana hindi na maulit to. Pero, yung controversy naman in the main event, sana ma-explain yun. Medyo blanco kasi yung pagkadetalyin nito. Habang tinatabunan si Brock, binibilangan eh. Samantala, sa mga ibang last man standing match na napanood ko, nyo, dapat marirealize nyo na dapat wala mo nang nagbibilang habang may nagbabato ng object o may ginagawa yung isang wrestler laban dun sa nakahiga na opposition na wrestler. Diba? Yan naman dapat talaga ang last man standing match. I don't know bakit sobrang mali yung naging main event spot dito o yung naging ending spot ng Brock Roman match. But regardless, it's a pretty good match na I'm glad na na-solve na yung Roman Brock problem, na-close na yung door, and Brock is taking a absence in WWE ulit. I hope na we can see him soon. Lalo na ngayon, na-advertise si Brock for Day 1 2023 sa Atlanta. So yeah, yun. So that's our SummerSlam thoughts for 2022 solo podcast ko ito. First time ko mag-solo podcast ulit. So it's all good for all of us here on the podcast. So, scores. Before we go to our first commercial break. Raw Women's title for over 5. The Logan Paul Miz is 4. The Lashley Theory 1. Okay. No DQ match is 3. Pat McAfee Corbin 3. The tag titles 3. The SmackDown Women's title is 4. Kasi I love the sudden heel turn of Ronda Rousey here. Then, the undisputed last man standing match is 4 out of 5. 5 dapat to kasi nung Brock spots is a tractor, pero I decided to deduct some points kasi dahil doon sa final count ng match. So, yun lang ang aking SummerSlam thoughts, no? So, yun lang ang thoughts ko for this year's SummerSlam. Yes, solo pod ko to ulit. Kasi last year, magkasama ako nun. So, hindi ako sanay, no? So, yun, we're going to take our first commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the fall ng SummerSlam. We're going to talk about the Ric Flair's final match. We're going to talk about the NXT, typically yung Fallout, and yung AEW Video Game when we come back on this podcast. But first, let me remind you, malapit na po ang 8/8 sale sa Lazada. If you want to support the podcast on Lazada, you can use my link on the description below o kaya doon sa akin link ER, or you can use this podlink.co/6gs. Again, that's podlink.co/6gs. So yan, we're going to take our first commercial break. Let's check our bunkmates here on Bunk Collective.
Sales, profit, and engagement na naman ang usapan. Hey guys, Matt and Lance here. Corporate guys rin kami at pagod na rin kami sa ganyang usapang office. Ibahin naman natin ang mga kausap natin. Listen to guests from careers beyond the corporate scene with the Project Offbeat Career Podcast. Imagine talking to historians, gamers, teachers, and the like on how they live differently and succeed in their unconventional careers. Baka sakali, ito naman ang sign to pursue your passions. Kita-kits sa Spotify, Apple Podcast, and YouTube.
Bakit mabaho ang utol?
Lumabog na ba ang Pilipinas?
Mahihain ba ang makaya?
Bakit bumabagyo sa Pinas?
Mga katanungang bumabagabag sa kaisipan ni Juan, halika, bigyan natin ng mga siyentipikong kasagutan. Ito ang inyong gurong lakan mula sa Bulacan, Sir Red. At ito ang Hinayin na Tagham the Podcast Year 2. Pakinggan sa lahat ng major podcast streaming platforms. Tara, matuto, magsaliksik, magkaroon ng dagdag na kaalaman. Haynayan, magpakailanman.
Anyari dun. So yun, welcome back to the show. It's our second half of the podcast. We're going to talk about the fall of SummerSlam. But first, let's talk about the Donnybrook match between Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus. Ito lang naman yung important happenings na hindi nangyari sa SummerSlam. So yun, Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus in a Donnybrook match. It was a fantastic matchup. Parang ito, binigyan nila to ng mahabang time to settle each other. It's so good. Sobrang ganda lang no naging laban nila. And I'm glad to see Drew winning the match over Sheamus. I wish Sheamus versus Gunther anytime soon. And ayun, so good to all of us. And it's so good to everyone who wants Drew versus Roman over again. But okay, I love this match regardless. Then, let's talk about the Shotzi. So, si Shotzi, wow, pinapush na ulit ng WWE. Wow, bigat. Sobrang ganda ng move na to. They're pushing Aliyah, si Shotzi ulit. And I'm glad to see her back on TV. So it's so good to see her back on the SmackDown TV. Yeah. So let's go to Raw. So we got 2 triple threat matches. With the winner will face each other, and the winner of that match will face Bobby Lashley on next week's Raw. So we got Miz, Styles, and Ali versus... Ayun, okay na. So ulitin natin. So we got 2 triple threat matches. With the winners of those matches will face each other in a one-on-one match. So we got Ciampa, Dolph Ziggler, and Chad Gable. Then The Miz, AJ Styles, and Ali. Yung finals noon is Ciampa versus AJ Styles. It was a fantastic matches. Lahat yun fantastic in my point of view. And I'm glad to see Raw less 24/7 o kaya yung mga ano no, mga recap about SummerSlam ano. Wala na tayo gano'n nakikitang gano'n sa Raw. I'm glad na sinettle na nila yung SummerSlam sa SummerSlam and yung Raw para sa Raw. So it's so good to all of us. Yeah, good. Let's talk about Becky Lynch. So si Becky Lynch, she got injured during the match versus Bianca Belair. Then, ayun, in-announce sa Raw na she got injured and hindi siya makapag-compete for several time na hindi dinetermine. Then, we got the Control, Bayley, si Io Sky, and si Dakota Kai. So, they attacked Becky Lynch backstage. Then, ayun na nga, in-announce na nga nila na hindi makapag-compete si Becky for an undisclosable future. And, ayun, we glad na, ako ewan ko, pero I'm glad na wala mo ng 4 horsewomen sa picture. Except Bayley. Ito, ewan ko, understandable siya sa akin na si Bayley mawawala agad daw. So, it's too early to me to see her out. But, yeah, ayun, I love it. Then, the Montez Ford versus Seth Rollins match. It's so fucking good. Para sa akin, magandang laban yon. Then, the Bianca Belair versus Io Sky from Raw. It's all fantastic. It's so fucking good. And everyone is loving that match. Ayun. Tapos, ano pa ba? The Usos versus Mysterios for the undisputed tag titles. I'm glad na Mysterios Judgment Day feud is not over yet. And thanks to Edge, they saved. Tapos yung ano, Confrontation versus Judgment Day. So malamang sa malamang 6-man tag to for Clash at Nagkaso. Marami pang build up na pwedeng mangyari. Let's see. Then, baka maging mixed tag pa to eh. Pero tignan pa din natin. Let's see in the next few days, I guess. So, yeah, basically that's it for WWE main roster shows. Let's go to NXT. So, NXT Women's Tag Team titles. There's a 4-way elimination match. And the last woman standing is Katana Chance and ito nga to, Kaden Carter. They won the tag titles for the first time and like finally, it's a fresh air to NXT's landscape. Ano nangyari na dun sa tag title sa main roster? Gusto ko na rin magkaroon ng tag title sa main roster, pucha. And ito, speaking of that, let's talk about Sasha and Naomi a little bit. So, apparently, Triple H and WWE is calling Sasha and Naomi for a WWE comeback. We're not sure about the details, but apparently, since the changes, parang may mga possible returns din sa company, like yung mga na-release because of Vince McMahon. Well, Vince McMahon yan eh. Pero let's see kung ano pa yung gusto nilang palabas. Okay, palabas sa ano na to, mga pasabog-pasabog na to. Titignan natin the next few days or few months bago natin malaman kung ano yung susunod na kabanata. Ang question ngayon is, what is the state of the NXT or yung Women's Tag Team titles? If wala pa ring point na di na babalik yung dalawa, kung ito na nga yung hatol, then scrap the belts, retire the belts. Wala na rin naman tag team sa WWE. So, yeah, ganun. Wala na rin naman silbi yung tag titles. Let's go back to NXT. So, the Creed brothers defended their NXT tag titles versus the Angelos team. Tony D and sino nga ito? Sino nga ito? Nakalimutan ko. Sino? Si Slacks. Ayun. So, sensya na nakakalimutan ko ng names sa mga 2.0 stars. Ayun. So, thanks to Santos Escobar, they saved grades. Ayun. So, technically, kalas-kalas na yung yung pamilya niya. Ewan ko, ano bang, ano na to. I love the Santos Escobar save though. Pero, parang wala siyang ano sa akin. Parang wala pa siyang effect. Titignan natin the next days or few weeks after nun, no? Then the main event, Falls Count Anywhere, Von Wagner, Solo Sikoa. Kung pablandan lang ang usapan, panalo na si Von Wagner. No? Sa current stars kung pag-uusapan natin ang pagiging bland gimmick, bland character, si Von Wagner na yung anak. Yung angat. yung angat. Si Von Wagner na yung pinakaangat pagdating sa pablandan ng character, walang hiyaan ng character. Ayun, sa tingin ko si Von Wagner na yun. Ayun, tong Falls Count Anywhere match, so good. Maganda naman yung naging laban. Not the same as the other last man or Falls Count Anywhere matches that we saw before. It's all good to me. It's all good. Now, maganda naman yung naging laban for me. Fuck. Magbaboss naman tayo ng sandabakmak na footage. But ayun, the Von Wagner Solo Sikoa, so good. I wish Solo Sikoa will be promoted soon to the main roster. And let's do the predictions for next week's NXT. Di next week pa ba? Hindi pa eh. August 16 pa eh. So, save na natin yun for next week. So, yun lang. NXT review. We're going to take our last commercial break. When we come back, we're going to do our AEW review, the Ric Flair review, the Ric Flair's last match, then yung ating picks of the week. No? Yung ating picks na iba ating pag-uusapan when we come back on the podcast. But first, let's talk about Shopee. So, malapit na rin yung Shopee 8.8. So, if you want to support the podcast on 8.8, you can use my link on the description. You can use my link TR, diretso yon. Then, o kaya item mo to sa browser mo, podlink.co/bhx. Again, that's podlink.co/bhx. So, yeah. We're going to take our second commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk about AEW, Ric Flair, the video game, and the picks of the week. When we come back. Wait. Let's check our bunkmates here on Bunk Collective.
Picture this. Two guys talking about true crime,
weird mysteries,
horror stories,
but the conversation is light,
mostly funny,
and sometimes naughty.
This is Cripsilog,
a Spotify exclusive.
I'm Gideon.
And I'm Glenn. And we're serving huge portions of horror and true crime twice a week.
We'll make sure your cravings are satisfied.
And you'll be begging for more.
Char.
Check us out.
This is Cripsilog, available exclusively on Spotify.
I loved you then. I love you now. And I will continue loving you until I can no longer.
You took a part of me until I had nothing left.
The old me had to die so the new me could be reborn.
I didn't deserve that pain. I deserve love, just not from her.
Today, I choose myself.
I wanted to tell you, but you weren't there.
These are the stories that I wish you heard. Streaming weekly episodes on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts.
Hello. Welcome back to the podcast. So, let's talk about Ric Flair's retirement muna. Okay, so there's a lot of matches on the card. Hindi ko na kailangan reviewin. Let's focus on the main event match between Andrade and Ric Flair versus Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. Tangina na, nagpo-post na naman ako no? So, ito, announce natin. It's so good. Maganda naman yung naging laban. Except when Ric Flair does his spots. Ganda naman kinalabasan. Magaling pa din si Jeff Jarrett. I can say he is a great wrestler, but hindi ko siya pwedeng ihanay sa mga wrestlers ngayon. But it's still all good. Magaling pa rin si Ric Flair. Magaling pa rin matulog. Si Jeff Jarrett, ayos lang. Sounds average. And mas gusto ko pa to kaysa sa Si Jeff Jarrett, I'm glad na he can wrestle pa din. He is a great wrestler. He's a fantastic wrestler na we never seen before. Ulit. Tagal na natin din nakita mag-wrestle si Jarrett. So, it's so good. Magaling naman talagang wrestler si Jeff. Hindi lang talaga na-appreciate ng crowd. So, yeah, it's so good. Wala naman tayong kailangan pag-usapan aside doon. So, let's talk about to AEW now. So, first, the Undisputed Elite split up. So, apparently, sinabi ni Adam Cole na hindi pa siya medically cleared to compete. And same as Kyle O'Reilly. So, Young Bucks, they're looking for a tag partner past few weeks. And, sinabi ni Adam Cole na if hindi nila pipiliin si Kyle O'Reilly, then, hindi makapag-compete ang Young Bucks. But instead, UE attacked Young Bucks and siniv sila ni Hangman, Adam Page. So, yeah, we got another Adam Cole versus Hangman. Wala pa kasi si Kenny, so definitely ito muna yung makukuha natin na match for the Undisputed Elite probably after All Out. Hindi natin makukuha yung bout nila for sure. So, yeah. Para lang natin next week yung mga explanations on the stuff. Then, we got Chris Jericho versus Wheeler Yuta. If Jericho wins, retain yung kanyang title shot for Quick in the Lake. So, masasabi ko lang, okay. Jericho yan. Ayan, so, it's kind of bland finish to me na to see Jericho winning over Wheeler Yuta. Ganda pa naman ng run niya ni Yuta for the past few days. Tapos papatalo ka lang kay Jericho. Like, fuck. It's all shit to me. Then, we got this match na parating on next week's Dynamite Quick in the Lake. So, okay. It's so good, man. Ayun, so yun lang ang ating thoughts for AEW this week. Medyo lame yung episode ng Dynamite. I'm glad na hindi ko siya pinanood ng buo. Parang wala silang pay-per-view na parating no, sa September. Ganon yung impression ko about that. Parang wala silang pay-per-view sa September. It's kinda sad. So, yun lang. Then, add na rin natin. So, they got a lot of promotions. They promoted Pat Buck, si Tony Schiavone, si QT Marshall. Sino pa ba na-promote? Hindi ko natanda lahat na na-promote. Pero yon. Then, they introduced Madison Rayne as the newest acquisition of AEW. So, she left Impact Wrestling and now she will work for AEW as a consultant for the women's division. So, that's a big addition. Sana makabawi na ang women's division ng AEW. And makupit-kupit din siya sometimes. So, I love Madison Rayne for real. I love her. I swear to God. Then, on Sunday, magkakaroon pala ng Battle of the Belts. So, let's do some mini preview of Battle of the Belts 3. Okay? So, Claudio Castagnoli versus Konosuke Takeshita for the Ring of Honor World Championship. Okay? Okay. It's gonna be, Claudio Castagnoli pa rin. Claudio to, obviously. So, hindi ka natin yung ibang card. Siguro sa, TikTok na lang tayo mag-preview noon, no? Pero yon, for sure ako, Claudio will win. As far as I know, the women's tag titles or women's titles being depended on the show. Let's see. Ilan ba yun? Sunday, di ba? Sunday, alam ko Sunday yun eh. Sunday yun, alam ko. So, yeah. So, basically, yun lang. Then, we're going to talk about the video game, okay? So, Fight Forever. Na-official na nila yung Fight Forever. So, we got some typical game like yung singles matches, yung 2-on-2, trios, fatal 4-way, 5-way, 6-way, yung exploding bullshit. Then yung steel cage, yung blood and guts, and many more. Ang gusto ko dito actually is yung mini games. So they put a lot of mini games doon sa game. It's so good to me. I love that feature. And let's see kung pang maasahan natin sa AEW Video Game once they release this on all of the current generation consoles and sa Nintendo Switch. So, yun lang. And ano nga pala to add, ang source ng AEW Video Game Fight Forever is THQ tsaka Yux, former works. They formerly work for WWE sa kanilang video game. So, yeah. Mukha siyang old school na nakatago sa pangalan ng AEW. So, yeah. Yan lang. Let's do our picks of the week. So, picks natin. Yung ating superstar of the week is Brock Lesnar, the woman of the week. I'm not sure sino nga yung na-pick ko for the woman of the week. Woman of the week natin. Who's our woman of the week? Seriously, I don't remember who the fuck she is. Huh? Sino ba ang woman of the week natin? Sino nga na-determine natin pick of the week sa woman? Check nga natin. Kasi ako talaga mismo hindi ako sure. Wait, let's verify some shit. So, ating woman pick of the week is, I don't know. To be honest, di ko natandaan to. So, our woman pick of the week is the trios. So, the Control. Io Shirai, Bailey, and Dakota Kai. I don't know. Sobrang nagandahan lang ako sa comeback nila. Kahit na unexpected. Then the matches of the week is the Brock Roman and the Daniel Garcia versus Bryan Danielson match from this week's episode of Dynamite. Last week's episode of Dynamite, Fight for the Fallen. So, yeah, it's all good to all of us here on the podcast. Follow the podcast on all of the social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, and on TikTok. Then, of course, please listen to our podcast episodes every Fridays on our podcast platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Deezer, and sa iba pang podcast platforms. Then, of course, you can follow and support Bunk Collective on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at The Bunk PH. You can visit our website, thebunkph.com. You can join our community sa Discord, dsc.gg/bunk. Ayun, also to add, please support our friends from MWF for their upcoming Road to Fate. And also their tapings this Sunday sa Brawl Pit, Bulusan. So if may ticket ka na for Road to Fate, you can join the tapings para doon sa Road to Fate episodes ng Action Novela TV. So, Road to Fate will take place on September 11 sa sa PETA Theater sa Quezon City with the main event for the MWF Championship, JDL versus Nigel San Jose versus Jake De Leon versus Fabio Makiseg. So, yeah, basically a fatal four-way elimination match. And if you want to support our wrestling scene in the Philippines, please support them, ManilaWrestling.com, or you can subscribe sa Gank for their content, of course. Then, follow us on social media at AG Penera on Twitter and Instagram, sa the podcast naman at the MT Show Pod. And you can check our linktr.ee/thebunk. Ayun, linktr.ee/the MT Show Pod or the MT Show Pod. I'm not sure. Then, ayun, confirm na natin. Mag-spoil na ako. Di pa pwede. But regardless, ayun, this is our episode of the podcast. Please stay safe and stay reso. See you on the next episode of the podcast. Please, we're out. Tatawa ako. So, ulit. So, yun. This is our episode number 117. Stay safe and stay Russell. This has been a Bong Collective production in cooperation with Bong Collective, of course. This is the MTG Show Podcast. We're out. Peace.